Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Fish List. My name is Jake and today I want to talk about my 180 gallon South American tank. I have talked about a few fish in this tank and a few changes I've made to it recently in other videos, but it's been a while since I went over the whole tank and talked about everything. It is really becoming one of those tanks that I find myself sitting in front of a lot. And there's a good reason for that. The fish are incredible. I love the sticks. It has an amazing background. There's just so many cool things about this tank. And it is one that is sort of coming into maturity. Anybody that has kept fish for a while knows what I'm talking about. When you have a tank that you set up, they kind of go through phases, where they are the new tank, where the fish look great, the tank looks great, and then it goes through some algae blooms, and then it goes through phases where the fish are growing out and things like that. And then eventually it just kind of gains its own personality and things just start looking good and it just starts clicking and the fish are doing great. And lately this has just been that tank for me, where I just feel like everything is coming together. Now, the fish are by no means fully grown yet. There's still some in here that will grow quite a bit more. And I think I'm done adding fish to the tank, but it is, I got some activity going on here. I'll zoom in on that. But it is pretty much, look, he's fired up. It is pretty much, as far as stocking, if anything, a little overstocked, so I'm not going to be doing too much more to it. But, I mean, let me tell you what we got going on here. I'm looking right here at my oldest cichlid and one of my first fish, which is my Geophagus Tapajos. And that one very bright one is definitely the boss of all the Tapajos. However, there's a lot of different geos in here, and most of them are not full grown. For instance, this guy, this is a Geophagus Altifrons, and these guys are the largest of the Geophagus species. And so he or she is going to get pretty darn big, and I'm really excited for that. There are 3 of these guys in here, and then there is one of these. This is a Geophagus Winemilleri, just one of him. We'll see as they all get bigger how they all do together. I'm really curious to see if this many Geophagus species, 3 different Geophagus species in one tank, is going to be too many or if they're going to be okay. So far, I mean, they'll give tiny chases, but they do pretty good together. This is a 180 gallon tank. When it comes to tank sizes, I know that it's kind of a cliche when people talk about tank sizes with fish, when they ask what size to put it in, and it's like a chili reservoir and somebody says, you know, a 200 gallon tank. But I will say it is my experience that when you take a fish and put it in a big tank, it acts so much differently than it does in a small tank. There are so many times where I see people say that a fish is very, very aggressive. And even I have had that fish in a smaller tank and it also seems very aggressive. And then when I put it in a large tank, it just seems to calm down. And, you know, it's just something I think about the space that they have and the territories that they're able to claim. And they just calm down so much more. So these guys, they'll definitely chase each other around a little bit, but I never see the same amount of aggression as I do when I have them in a smaller tank. Along with the Geophagus, there's some silver dollars in there that are absolutely stunning and also not full grown. There are also some Koi Angels. There are 7 of these Koi Angels that are not quite full grown, but they're getting pretty darn close and they're starting to look pretty incredible. And then there are some electric blue Acara, which I feel like are always the highlight of this tank when I put videos out about it. Those 2 look like they're trying to do what they do all the time. I feel like every other week they're laying eggs and making babies, and they do just fine. If anybody's ever kept these fish, when they lay eggs in a tank, which they actually prefer laying in a community tank. It's something about the community setting. I've not had them lay eggs in a tank by themselves, although I've never specifically tried to do that. My Pleco's, incredible Pleco's getting in the way here, but definitely worth looking at too. We'll talk about him in a second. But they lay eggs in community tanks a lot. When they do that though, it's nothing to really worry about unless your tank is too small. If your tank is small, you might have a problem. However, I have noticed that they will just lay eggs and they guard that specific area. So these guys will guard this corner. They'll chase off the other fish. Once they find a spot to lay eggs over there, that's what they're going to do. And then once the eggs are hatched, eventually they'll just get eaten one by one, usually at nighttime or whenever, but they'll just disappear slowly. Sometimes I've gotten them to a free swimming stage in this tank. In fact, awesome story, if I can find him. I believe it's this little guy over here. He's in the back. I say little guy, he's actually a decent size. Of course, these guys are going to hog the spotlight here. He's in the back there, just kind of hanging out. But that guy was actually born in this tank and amazingly enough survived and has never left this tank. So that's pretty awesome. You know, I'm looking at these geos over here and the way they're swimming around, and I saw one that was they're fired up, and also I saw one that was kind of pecking at one of the other one's body side. I have never gotten my Geophagus to spawn, but also I'm really excited to catch this on video because I've never seen them with that much color, and I think something is going on here. I've had these guys for so long, and it's always been in the back of my mind, like, why haven't they tried spawning? I mean, these Acaras have tried spawning about 1,000 times, but something is happening here. Like, these guys, that is such a bright color that he is right now. This is so cool that the minute I start filming this video, they decide to do this. I don't know. We'll see. I don't actually know a ton about Geophagus breeding because I've never successfully gotten to do it. However, if you look, there's like 5 of them in that corner, so maybe they're trying to figure out who mom and dad are going to be. I'm not really sure. Although they are digging out that corner, they have done me a great favor of deciding to pile it up against the intake of my filter there, which really stinks because I keep pulling sand out of my filter. But you know what? If I end up with Geophagus babies, I think that's going to be okay with me. Let's talk about, well, let's keep going with the fish here. This is an L14 Sunshine Pleco, and he is awesome. Oh my gosh, I love this Pleco. When I started in this hobby, I remember the first time I bought a Pleco, not wanting to touch the thing because seeing the whiskers and the bristles on it, it was a Bristlenose Pleco, and I just didn't even want to touch that fish. It just felt weird to me, and I have come so far to the point where I absolutely love my Plecos. They are just the coolest fish, and this guy is the king of them all, and it is just amazing. It is a wild-caught L14 Sunshine Pleco. I got it from Freshwater Exotics. Just love this fish. So active. I drop I drop food in here at night, and it's really hard to feed Plecos because sometimes you just have to kind of hope they eat. I think I'm going to get one of those little Pleco feeders where it holds the food in one place so that I can let him rasp on it, just because I get nervous about him getting enough food, and I hope he's getting enough, but he's in here with a lot of other fish, but just an amazing fish. There are also, I don't know if you'll be able to see him back there, there are 2 really good sized Plecos in this tank, although the other one is not full grown yet. I would show you, but these silver dollars love to hog the spotlight. He's in the back there. He's hard to see. You'll just have to take my word for it. But he is an L190 Royal Pleco, and he'll get about the same size as that one. I was a little concerned about territory, but like I mentioned before, big tanks, you know, just solve a lot of problems. That's what's cool about big tanks. You got big tanks, you can solve some problems. I really wish I could get this guy to focus. There you go. There's a little focus on him. He's in the back there. L190 Royal Pleco. Really amazing. Beautiful Pleco. Absolutely love that fish. There are actually 2 other Plecos in here, and I'm not going to try to find them because they make appearances at times, but they never do it when I want them to. One of them is an L397 Tiger Alenquer Pleco. Alenquer Pleco. Oh man, I might be saying that wrong. I know I'm saying that wrong. That is an awesome Pleco, and it is full grown. I actually bought a group of them a long time ago, and I had planned to breed them, and one by one I just lost them. This one, however, has been alive for a long time, and so it's in here living its best life. There is also a blue-eyed lemon bristlenose pleco, a really large male in here that comes out sometimes, and it's a really beautiful fish. And I've actually bred that fish, although it's the female. I lost the female at one point, so I was really sad about that. But other than that, I can't not talk about the Albino Threadfin Acaras. So amazing. Not full grown yet. Will be awesome when they're full grown. Lots of trailers between them and the Geophagus. Why did I just lose the name? The Geophagus. Sorry, I'm really sorry about that. I'll put it on the screen here. I just lost the name. Altifrons. There it is. Between them and the Geophagus Altifrons, I feel like they're going to compete for the most beautiful fish in this tank once they grow up. There are also a few Cory Julii in here. There are about 6 of them that kind of hide and move around that are pretty cool. There are a couple Epistogrammas, orange flash, cockatoides, there we go, that I bred, and they kind of came out looking a little funny, and we call them the Quasimodo fish. They come out sometimes, and I put them in here when there were a lot less big fish in this tank, and mostly just because they were the kind of, oh gosh, see, this is my filter problem. Look at this guy. He just digs that hole and he throws all the sand in my filter. How rude of him. Anyway, the Epistogrammas, we call them the Quasimodo fish because they're all kind of deformed. They weren't something that I could sell, so they are what they are. They're living their best life, and they get along here just fine. So there's also 4, I know I'm breaking biotope here, not that this is a perfect biotope, but there are 4 Siamese algae eaters, and I put them in here because I was just getting a little sick of the blackbeard algae. Not that it was too ridiculous, but I have this awesome background on this tank that was covered with blackbeard algae, and I really wanted it to not be covered with blackbeard algae, so I put them in here to do their thing, and they have done their thing. They have cleaned up this tank quite well. As far as the actual tank, it's a 180-gallon marine land aquarium. I don't love the tank. It's the glass. It just has a little bit of a warping effect. If you're not looking directly on, it makes the fish kind of look a little distorted. There are some Wills lights, W-I-L-L-S, that I got off of Amazon, and I love these lights. Man, do they do a great job lighting this tank and making it look awesome. They're actually made, you can use them for salt water, and so they have a little more blue in it, which just makes the lights, the fish look incredible. All of this wood I got out of my backyard, except for one piece that came out of a local waterway, and the rocks also came out of a local waterway. So I got all this myself. Now this tank does get a little filthy. These fish generate a lot of waste. I have an Awazi 600 Biomaster filter, 2 of them on this tank, and a wave maker to kind of help pull the poop up into the filter, which does a great job. Although I can never get the tank as clear as I would like it, especially after feeding, and also because the Geophagus do what Geophagus do, and they sift through the sand and they pull all the nasty stuff up, and sometimes it gets caught in the water column. But it is pretty decent, I think, all things considering. So, but other than that, the stand, I'll tell you, this thing sits below my 210-gallon Tanganyikan tank up there. So if you can imagine, this thing is a pretty heavy-duty stand. It's holding a lot of weight, but I built it myself. Pretty awesome stand. I'm actually pretty proud of how heavy-duty this thing is. But I think that's... trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to say about this aquarium. I really love it. It's definitely one of my favorites. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope it gives you a little bit of inspiration if you're thinking about building some kind of Amazonian aquarium. I think there's a lot of great ideas as far as stocking options, and some, good things just to keep in mind about the sizes of the tanks. The last thing I guess I should say is it's got black diamond blasting sand, which is a cheap substrate that you buy here in the United States, and works really well. And I have that for the bottom. Once again, not necessarily biotope. I don't think there's a whole bunch of black diamond blasting sand in the Amazon, but there's also not electric blue Acaras, so it's okay. It's a great tank. Love looking at this beautiful, colorful fish. Lots of activity. They're growing, they're healthy, they're strong, and they look great. and I hope that you enjoy it, and I will leave you with this view of my awesome pleco. So thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Fishlist out.